This hour is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington. Personal injury, criminal, business, whatever you need, Jeremy Temple Law Office will get you taken care of.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, you got a sports beat on this Wednesday coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Welcome in. Jim Coyle with you as always. Shakes at the wheel, keeping things on the track. Mike Schuman's going to join us later on to sit in with us today. Laura Overton's going to join us from the Indianapolis Colts as the combine has started. Matt Weaver will talk to us too about some things going on with Indiana football. But few names, I don't know, has anything big happened last night? Mike Schuman's on with us now from the Daily Hoosier. Can't think of any. Oh, yeah, Indiana landed Christian Lander. Man, Mike Schuman, welcome in, man.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm all right, brother. Not only is that just a humongous get, but it came at a surprising and out of left field for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, I think beyond anyone inside Christian Lander's household, I think there was a lot of surprise yesterday. And it even sounded like, based on what I've heard and read, that his parents were a little bit surprised that he reached that decision so quickly.
Well, now the big question comes, of course, and I think that it lends itself right to it, is reclassification to the class of 2020, because he's in the 2021 class, the vaunted 2020 class. But Indiana could definitely use his talents now. He seems good enough to come in to get to start his career, obviously. But that's the big question, and I think that he has made no bones about the fact that is what his preference is. He wants to come into the 2020 class, and I think that you're going to end up seeing that happen.
Yeah, no doubt. He wants it to happen. It sounds like Indiana obviously wants it to happen, so everybody's on board with that approach. You have to have a certain academic resume, a certain amount of classes completed to get that done. It sounds like he's going to do everything he can to make that happen. We may not know until the summer whether or not it actually all comes to fruition, but it's just optimal for Indiana. They're going to lose Devontae Green, for Lander to be able to step in as a second primary ball handler on the roster. And I've already had a lot of people ask me, well, does he step in and take Rob Fennessy's starting job? And my answer to that is, well, I don't even think about it that way. You got Lander that's a scoring point guard. You got Fennessy that is a natural scorer. Put them on the court at the same time. We've seen national championship caliber teams in recent history, such as North Carolina, that went with that approach. This is not, 1990 Indiana with Jamal Meeks and Chris Reynolds. These are point guards that score the basketball. So it's not even a real question in my mind.
Well, yeah, especially the way Indiana runs its offense. Point guard is not. It's not like there's a focal point. And basketball itself is just moving towards a different style. And the point guard, I'm not saying that he's being eradicated, but it's not the same as what the point guard was 20 years ago. It's a different position of sorts today.
Yeah, and look at what Archie wants to do, which, by the way, is the reason why Lander, in my mind, is so important on offense. Half-court offense is one thing, but what he really wants to do is push the pace as soon as you get the rebound, even off a make. He wants to get downhill and go. Even when Fennessy and Al Durham are on the court at the same time, half the time you see the ball in Durham's hands pushing it, because it's just get the ball to a guard and go. And so yeah, Fennessy and Lander out on the floor. It really doesn't matter, to your point. It's just who can get the ball down the court the fastest. And to me, when I've watched Christian Lander, that's his greatest strength as a player, is to get downhill, to attack. He's very fast, very quick. He gets to the rim exceptionally well and has great vision. So, personally, I would be thrilled with the prospect of a Lander and Fantasy combination on the court at the same time.
Looking towards next season, of course, because that's when he would be coming in. What does he bring to that team that will be on the floor then? Because you're going to be, like you mentioned, you're going to replace Devontae Green. He's going to be gone. So that's going to be a hole you have to fill. Of course, you've got Anthony Leal coming in with Trey Galloway. All three of these guys played together, so they're very, very familiar with each other.
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing is just, not only him, but the other guys you mentioned, just having a little bit more depth in the backcourt. It's not optimal to be in the situation that I use in this year with just 4 guards, 4 scholarship guards on your roster to add Lander, hopefully, and then Leal and Galloway. Jordan Geronimo is probably more of a 3 than a 2, but he's got an emerging perimeter game with a good jump shot. So I think just having more guys that can play out on the perimeter is a good thing. I don't think Landers, he's got all the accolades and the ratings, but I don't think he's a guy that's going to come in his first year, especially if he plays next year, because he's going to be so young. But I don't think he's a guy that you look to that's going to score 18, 20 a game and be first team all Big Ten. I think,
Well, he's not doing that for his high school team. So
Right. But he's going to be a major contributor no matter what his role is. I wouldn't be surprised if something in the ballpark of 10 to 12 points a game, with
as a freshman?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Just because what he can do in transition. I mean, I think he'll get half of his contributions just in transition on defense. He's a very underrated defender, very good wingspan for his height. He's only 6'2", but he's got really long arms. I think he'll get some baskets that way.
He's going to have a lot of guys in front of him, though. You got to have Armand Franklin, who's got a year under his belt, and then you've got Trey Galloway coming in and Anthony Leal coming in, and you've got Al Durham back, and there's going to be a lot of guys playing at that guard position. So that's I don't know if he's going to get that much time where he can contribute that many points as a freshman. But it'd be great if he could.
Yeah, you may be right, but I think there's a reason why he's coming in as the top point guard in the country and a 5-star.
He's fast. He's so quick. He's so quick, man.
And that's something Indiana really lacks this year. People don't talk about it that much.
Well, I have been talking about it because I've noticed that because there was a few games where I saw Al Durham. He really got to the rim a couple times, and Rob Finnis, he tried to get to the rim. They don't do that without, when you had Romeo, that's what his game was, getting to the rim. Now you don't have that guy who does that. So Christian it definitely has, with that speed, that burst speed that he has. Yeah, he can get around a guy and get to the rim.
And one thing people also ask about is, can he shoot? I probably got 4 texts within the hour of his announcement. Can he shoot? That's what everybody wants to know, because they're so exhausted by the team the last few years with it non-shooters. But I don't think he's an elite shooter. He's not going to shoot 40% plus in his college career. I don't know what his number is right now. I suspect it's probably right around 35. I think probably a little bit less than that, even as a freshman, as we typically see. But he's a competent shooter, and I think he's a guy that can come in and knock down shots and hopefully space the floor a little bit.
Yeah, because just getting it, and I've got to give all the credit to Archie Miller and his staff on this. With Romeo Langford, they got him for reasons that really had nothing to do with Indiana. It's because Pitino got fired, because Indiana was the next closest Adidas school. Let's be honest. But this and Trace Jackson Davis, that was Archie, and I think the IU helped a lot with that. But this, to me, this recruitment and landing is all Archie Miller and that staff landing him, because this is a kid that could have gone any place. Louisville had a heavy lean. He has a great affinity for their Michigan program, but they not only do they land him sooner than normal, and probably going to get him in a reclassification. So again, all credit goes to Archie Miller and his staff on this. And I want to make sure that I say it, because when it's the other way, I definitely say it. So I'm going to always make sure that credit's given where credit's due. And that is the absolute case here. It's a hell of a job. It's a hell of a hit especially right now. And the program, there's been a lot of doubts on what Archie has done, and I've had plenty of them. There's been a lot of things where I think he's made some mistakes. He's learning. He's missed on a lot of kids from Indiana, Nigel Pack and the kid Hemingway and Powell, and but I think he's finding his way. And man, this is about as good a way as to solidify that as anything.
Yeah, and I guess, what is it now? Still less than 3 years that he's actually been the head coach at IU, and this is his 8th in-state recruit out of high school, not counting Joey Bronk, who kind of fits that bill as well, because he's a kid that came from Indianapolis and always wanted to go to IU and eventually found his way there. But 8 high school kids in less than 3 years. I mean, that was his number one recruiting promise when he took the job in March of 2017. There's just no doubt that he's come through and delivered on that. You know, you mentioned Romeo. I mean, the thing with Romeo is that Archie was so late into that recruitment. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear at this point that he would have gone to Louisville, but he could have gone anywhere else after that, and he was able to solidify that one. But then you're exactly right. I mean, Trace and Christian, those are the two examples of guys that, man, they just, from the day those kids were, you know, whatever, 8th grade freshmen, they've just been locked in. You know, somebody posted yesterday that Archie had been down, might have been Nick Baumgart, at Rivals, that Archie had been down to Evansville like 40 times in the last 2 years. I mean, think about that. Everything else he's got going on, that's very significant.
Well, I knew it was at like 25 when we went down there last August or whenever that was, for when he spoke in Evansville. And that was a departure for him, you know, so that showed you how much investment that they were putting into this. And because Archie doesn't like speaking. It's not like it's his favorite thing to do. And but he did that mainly because Pat Shoulders, who was on the board of directors, asked him to. But yeah, Evansville has been an absolute destination, and it has proven on. It's paid off.
It absolutely has. And, you know, I think, looking forward, I think, you know, in the class of 2021, I mean, this has been the class that we've been talking about for the last 2 years. It's like the class. It's Archie's.
But this is actually going to be the class of 2020.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think you got to consider it 2021. He's been working on it towards that end. But the point I was going to make is this is his defining class. This is the class that he's had his entire time at IU to work on. These kids weren't even in high school yet when he took the job. It's the best Indiana class in a good long while, and he's already landed the top player in the class. There's a lot of chatter that, you know, another kid down in Southern Indiana is a lean that direction. You know, this could be a moment here in the next 6 months where, you know, Archie really gets things going at Indiana.
That's the next question. What does this do with Romeo and what that would do towards recruiting? What does this do towards that 2021 class? And especially with him coming in 2020, those guys can see, well, he's already there. So yeah. And that really solidifies it. You got Caleb first, and there's so many big time talents in that 2021 class that you're talking about. And now moving a scholarship out of that, that's going to open up another scholarship or another opportunity there for a kid out of that class.
That's exactly right. And you've got guys that Christian's going to play with, assuming that he carries through and plays AAU basketball this summer. I suspect that he will do that just for the experience and the competition. But he's going to be teammates with Caleb first. He's going to be teammates with Blake Wesley up in South Bend. I mean, those are, along with Trey Kaufman, who he's not going to be teammates with, those are your top 3 additional guys in that class that Indiana's after. So, you know, he's going to have a chance to, you know, make an impression on those guys and try to convince them to come to Indiana as well.
Absolutely. Hey, stick with us, folks. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat. We're coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios, of course. Coming up next, Laura Overton from Indianapolis Colts. The Combine is going on right now, Mike. You got the Combine. We were supposed to have had baseball start today in Indiana, but that's canceled, FYI, if you haven't heard already. Believe it or not, Mike, can you believe there's snow predicted for Bloomington today? It's unbelievable.
Well, Well, I'm looking out my window at snow right now, so I can believe it very well.
Yeah, I'm just kidding, of course. But, the baseball game today, a home opener canceled, of course. But stick with us. Laura Overton up next. We're back right after this.
I just can't stop. I'm so mad. I'm so mad.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dawkins.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Wednesday. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle joined with Michael Schumann. Now our special guest, Laura Overton. Laura, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Awesome. I know that the combine's going on. We've got snow on the outside. Luckily, that's all. Everything's going on the inside. But how have you been, by the way?
Doing great, thanks. Yeah, I was down at the combine all day yesterday, so it was a good day to have Chris Ballard and our head coach, Frank Reich, up there. And, you know, of course, there's been a lot of talk in regards to whether the combine could move to another location. Some people have tossed out the idea of LA as a future location, a future desired location for the combine. But so far, I mean, at the start of the combine, you know, the first few days in, I think it's proven that with the efficiency with which things have continued to run, the amenities, and so far the feedback that we've gotten, it's all been very positive, very encouraging. So hopefully that allows us to continue to host the combine for years and years to come.
Yeah, it's a huge thing, and Indianapolis does such a great job at everything: Super Bowls, NCAA Final Fours. It doesn't matter. It's just a great place to be, and I would hate to see that thing move. But I think a lot of people, including the NFL, would probably hate to see it move as well.
Well, I think that they keep discussing just the idea of bringing it, to a larger market, something like a Los Angeles, where you have all of, that kind of attention on it. But there are just so many benefits to Indianapolis, a central location. It's easy for everyone to travel into from, the teams, the players, and you also have all of the medical staff, best medical staff possible in the country to be here on hand because that medical evaluation is such a crucial aspect. Also, the walkability of Indianapolis. You don't have guys who are on their way to an interview or they're on their way, to any of their assessments and getting held up in traffic or the different things that there are. I mean, for the most part, when you're going from Lucas Oil Stadium to over to the convention center where the bulk of the activity is happening, you can go underground, you can go through tunnels, you don't have to hit the sidewalk to do those things. And, it is such a great event for the city. And that's why you see Indianapolis host things like, in the past Super Bowls and then coming up an NBA All-Star game, a college football championship, Final Fours, NCAA tournament regionals, all of those different things. So I think that with it being in Indianapolis for more than 30 years, you certainly see that people are thinking, well, what if we went somewhere else? And you see maybe the enticing aspect of just seeing what other cities would be as host cities. But I think should they at any point move it out of Indianapolis and test another market, another city, I think they would quickly realize that the advantages that Indianapolis provides far exceed anywhere else you could possibly take the NFL Combine.
Absolutely. And then yesterday, of course, the Colts got some great news. How about Mr. Costanzo?
Yeah, I know. It was almost like Chris was kind of burying the lead on us for a while. It took a bit to get to, that question, especially when he said, okay, yeah, Anthony is playing in 2020. We're working on a deal right now. And then someone asked, how long have you known? And he said, I don't know, a week or 10 days. We're all like, what? You've been holding out on us like this long, like this information. And we truly did think, kind of the longer it went, I think fans got more hope that he was coming back, because if he was definitive in being convinced that he was done with football, I think it would have been a little bit more immediate. So the longer it went, it was thinking, okay, like it seems like there was a draw pulling him closer to a return than to retirement. So, that was huge news from Chris Ballard yesterday. Just the cohesiveness on the offensive line. You saw those guys start all 16 games last season together, and the effectiveness that had certainly in the run game. And Chris is one who put such a priority on the lines, both offensively and defensively. So that's a huge win in the off season for the Indianapolis Colts. But, with that, you also have to keep in mind that this is likely going to be a year-to-year deal for AC. So you do still have to start thinking about his successor at that position, whether it's somebody who you already have in place that you want to groom, or are you going to go out and draft someone who could potentially fill that void when he does enter retirement, whether that's this time next year or 2 years from now. You do need to start thinking that far down the line.
Yeah, so looking forward to potentially having a much brighter season for Colts fans this year. I know last year was a mixed bag. You had the loss of Andrew Luck, and then you've even had some hints of his possible return, which I think that is just some fodder for Twitter. But it's just been a little tumultuous time for Colts fans. Hopefully this can bring a ray of sunshine into their life.
Well, it's always fun for people to speculate, right? Especially this time of year when football fans, don't have quite as much to get excited about. You certainly have the XFL, which has created a lot of really fun, interesting conversations at this period when usually you are without any football. And so, it just lends itself to that. Everyone's going to kind of think, and not only Andrew Luck, Adam Vinatieri, what's his situation? What's, likelihood that he wants to play another season? What's, the health of Adam? He had his surgery in the off season. Where is he? There are all of these speculation. And then with people who are hitting free agency, are the Colts going to, pursue, person A, B, or C? I mean, there are all those conversations that come up. So you understand the curiosity that there is behind it, but, I don't think anyone's, holding their breath and that, okay, we're just going to wait for this to happen. No, they're very much, moving forward with the pieces that are in place now and then looking to improve upon those, get more competitive and certainly get more depth because we saw last season with just an unprecedented amount of injuries in your wide receiving core, one that was touted to be one of the deepest, best on this, on this roster, one of the best position groups on this roster, one of the best certainly in the AFC when you have T.Y. Hilton and then an incredible supporting cast and you brought in the free agent in Devin Funchess who was expected to do great things. And here, week 1 of the regular season, I mean, just that collarbone injury and it splintered in multiple places. And then Paris Campbell, who we saw with incredible flashes in the time he was on the field. I mean, sustained 4 different injuries, none related to one another, too, over the course of his rookie season. So many different things. You saw Reese Fountain in training camp, Chester Rogers. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of all these different receiver injuries that you had, which created opportunities for guys like Zach Pascal, which he capitalized on. So I think that, getting this team healthy is certainly, that's in and of itself going to create a ton of excitement going into 2020. And then seeing what they do here in April with the draft. They have that 13th pick. We know Chris Ballard loves to move pieces around. Last year we saw him trade away that pick and bolster it with some, second and third round picks. So this year with that 13th pick, it's an intriguing position to be in, but we still have a few months to know exactly what they're going to do, not only with that pick, but I believe it's 9 picks altogether. And then one thing that we've known Chris to do in the past is he's never been a big spender in free agency. He prefers to build through the draft. That is his mantra, and that is something that Mr. Irsay and Coach Reich are very in support of. But one thing that I thought was interesting that Chris brought up yesterday, he was asked about if he feels that he's assembled a locker room that is strong enough that it could maybe embrace one of those big name, high dollar free agents at this point in time. Because when Chris came in, he really wanted to build that strong locker room, a strong core of players. And we certainly do have that now from a leadership standpoint, from an accountability standpoint. So it's going to be intriguing if there is someone that Chris and his staff and, the front office staff pursue over the next few weeks as free agency period does open up. But, we also know that Frank Reich said yesterday in his availability that there have been people in the past, over the past 2 seasons, that they were intrigued by and that they explored, and that for one reason or another, it just didn't come to fruition. And then as the season played out, it was like, okay, this is why it didn't play out. That was kind of exactly what maybe concerned us, or maybe some of the hesitation we had that we didn't do that deal. So it's, kind of twofold in that we've seen it go each of those ways, that they're open to it, but they're also going to be incredibly particular, incredibly selective in how they pursue free agency. And then this is a crucial week for those guys who are among this 2020 draft class, one that does seem to be really an exciting class from a wide receiver standpoint, from a defensive line standpoint. We know that those are 2 areas that are likely going to be priorities for the Colts over the next few months.
Absolutely. And Laura, since you took this gig, you were formerly with Fox 59 there in Indianapolis. How you been enjoying this gig? This is a change from working in television news to working for an NFL professional sports team. It's got to be incredible fun and a heck of a ride.
It's incredible. Yeah, I was with Fox 59 and CBS 4 for 5 years prior to coming over to the Colts in a full-time capacity. And one thing that was really exceptional for me and a benefit for me was that because Fox 59 and CBS 4 are the official broadcast partners of the Colts, I'd done a lot of work over here at the Colts complex. Previously, I'd hosted a show a couple of years ago that was then called Colts Up Close. I host a similar show now in my full-time role. I'd done preseason games with the team. I basically was, almost a beat reporter when I was working for Fox 59 and CBS 4 because I was here almost every day that there was practice and availability, because we do have, or Fox and CBS 4 did have a pregame show, Colts Blue Zone. So I was creating content for that every week. So that really helped make the transition relatively seamless. And I started here with the franchise on July 15th, and we were right into training camp on the 25th of July. So hit the ground running right into the season. Certainly one that, did not, lack storylines whatsoever in 2019. So it's been just an incredible opportunity. And in addition to doing the hosting and reporting, one of the things that was really intriguing to me was the opportunity to do more producing. So I've certainly taken on a greater producing role in this capacity with the team, and they've launched Colts Productions over about the past year, which includes not only, your game day content and all of those things that you're used to seeing. There are also 4 different original series. There's Behind the Colts, there's With the Next Pick, there's Colts Life, and there's Colts Forever. So all of those are different series that we produce that I've had a hand in, and that's been something that has been so fun for me to learn about. Behind the Colts is very much kind of your Hard Knocks style. If you followed our training camp series last year, 4-part series in 2019, that was from the start of training camp until the end of the preseason that we did kind of documentary style. And then there is With the Next Pick, and we're working on that right now. That's behind the scenes of the entire draft process. So we'll do that again. They did that last year. We're doing that, taking a different spin on things in a couple of different aspects, but that'll basically follow from end of the season through draft night. And then Colts Forever is where we visit our alumni players and catch up with them. So I've been a part of 2 of those now. Met with Jeff Saturday, went down to Decula, Georgia, where he coaches high school football. And Hunter Smith, who of course was a longtime punter here in Indy, and he has now a farm here in Zionsville. So went up and did one with him, did a Colts Forever piece, and then Colts Life, which we visit our current players, current guys on the roster, go to their hometowns, learn about how they grew up, learn about their families, learn about them, and certainly, their football background, but then even more so who they are both on and off the field. So that's what's been keeping me busy in particular in this off season, outside of Combine Week, of course, because Combine Week is in and of itself just a busy one, a demanding one altogether. But yeah, a couple of really fun Colts Life features that we'll be working on. And of course, With the Next Pick, I believe that first episode is slated to go out next week. So that'll be something really fun for Colts fans to get a fix on that quality football content as we're working our way into 2020.
Looking forward to it, Laurel. I know a lot of people enjoying some XFL during this offseason, NFL offseason, but everybody looking forward to getting back to some football. But I can't thank you enough.
I am too. Absolutely. It's like, why is it only February?
I know, I'm telling you. It definitely feels like it right now. But cannot thank you enough for joining us, man. We always love having you on and look forward to doing it again sometime. Look forward to it as well. Thanks so much for having me. You betcha. There's Lara Schumer. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, Lara Overton from the Indianapolis Colts. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much. You too. Lara Schuman, or I keep saying Schuman, for Mike Schuman's with us. Lara Overton from the Indianapolis Colts joining us today. I love talking to her. She's actually formerly from New Albany, down in southern Indiana. Went to New Albany High School. Always cool to talk to Lara. She's an excellent reporter, and I look forward to having her on again. Mike, are you still there?
I am still here.
I thought I lost you there for a second there, but enjoy talking to Lara Overton from the Colts. But obviously the big story today is Christian Lander. We're going to be talking a lot more about that when we come back here with Mike. We're going to get Nick Schumann on from a recruiting aspect as well from Rivals. Nick Baumgart. Well, I keep saying Schumann. Everybody's name is Schumann right now.
It's all about Schumann.
It's all about the Schumann show. The Schumann. Well, the Schumann, instead of the Truman Show, it's the Schumann Show. Nick Baumgart joins us next. Stay tuned. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat. We're back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dawkins.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Yeah, it's always fun to come back here, play in front of a lot of friends and family. Last night was fun to catch up with my parents, brother, a couple family members, so yeah, it's always fun to come back here.
What do you? This is a little off the cuff, but what do you think of the state of
There was a lot more there, but I guess we'll hear the rest later. You can let that roll, Jake. There's a lot more there. Cody Zeller, by the way, in town last night playing the Indy Pacers with the Hornets.
You being back, so can you talk about just being back and what you think the state of the program is going to be like?
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't been able to see too many games just because of our own schedule. But it's obviously they're right there in the playoff in the NCAA tournament watch right on the bubble. So a big win against Penn State, and they play Purdue coming up. So it's always a big rivalry. But I try to follow as much as I can, but it's obviously tough with our schedule.
And then one other thing is, what was your experience like playing at IU? Obviously, the last couple of decades, your 2 years were the most successful you've ever had there. What was your favorite moment being there, playing under Tom Crean?
There's a lot of good moments, obviously. I think my favorite memories are the guys that I played with. Obviously, Vic, Jordan Hulls, Christian Watford, Derek Elson, those guys, still some of my closest friends now. So I had a great 2 years there, and I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Are you bummed Vic didn't play tonight? Were you hoping to play against him, being obviously your teammate and having, the lounge with your names on it together? You're clearly close. Yeah.
And obviously, I'm just glad to see him back on the court, not tonight, but back from his knee injury. And I think he's gearing up for the playoffs more than anything. So it was good to catch up with him a little before the game. So glad he's doing well.
And then, what's it like having just so many IU players in the NBA? Obviously, you've got a ton of them. I think it's 9. You're, I think, the 8th one I've interviewed this year throughout the year as they come through Indianapolis. So can you just talk about how many of you have made the NBA recently?
Yeah, it's kind of cool to kind of look back and see how many have come through Bloomington or even been from Indiana. So I think it says a lot about the pride of basketball here in Indiana.
That was Cody Zeller of the Charlotte Hornets, former Indiana Hoosier, getting caught up with theirs. They took on the Pacers last night. They got shellacked. Mike Schumann's with us, of course. Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat. Also, we're being joined by Nick Baumgart from Indiana Rivals, thehoosier.com. How are you, sir?
Man, better than reserve. This is quite the all-star panel. I mean,
there you go. Hey, and you're the guest of honor. And you're the guest of honor. Big news last night, though, obviously for Indiana, is they land a huge recruitment in Christian Lander, Nick. And I talked about earlier, not only is it gigantic, but it is pretty surprising coming now only because I don't think anyone was expecting that. But obviously now we're looking towards a reclassification to 2020, very possibly.
Yeah, I think it caught everybody off guard, his family included. You know, I talked to his father last night. I mean, first of all, I'm just really happy for that family. I got to know Keith, really well. And, so it's just my heart kind of raced for him, his kid gets his school paid for and he's got everything kind of taken care of. And so, it's kind of the story that we kind of forget, but pretty cool for the family. But, I think it caught him off guard. Nobody saw this coming, and Keith said, I'm not surprised by the decision. I'm just surprised by the timing.
It's kind of funny with it because that's not usually how it happens, man.
Right. So I don't know. I don't know if something happened, in these last few weeks. I know his mom loves IU, and everybody knows that. And so, she was in one ear on Sunday and well, Mike Schumann actually is the one who took the photograph. I guess Mike's with us.
Yeah.
But anyway, Wheels on his left and Mom's on his right. And I don't know. Maybe they sold him on it Sunday. But it was something I kind of expected him to stay close. I thought it would be Indiana or Louisville, just because he's so close with his family. And this is nothing coming from the Landers or anything like that. It's just kind of an observation that I made. He's in videos with his sister, and he's at games. Let's talk about more importantly
Nick. Let's talk more importantly about what he brings to this team and what his commitment means to this program.
Okay. Well, I think next year. I think let's be honest. Let's slow the expectations. I mean, expectations are what has had people up in arms this year. Let's kind of tap the brakes on Christian Lander for 2020. I think he probably reclassifies, but what does he bring to the table in 2020? If he can come in and compete like Armand Franklin, I think that would be a really good start. I think people sometimes don't understand how difficult that jump is from high school basketball to college basketball. It's 10 notches. And to go from being a junior to playing high major basketball with the expectations that some of the fans have for Christian Lander's, future at Indiana. And let's tap the brakes here. Let's just, whatever happens next year, but some of the things I've read is it's just unfair to him, I think, more than anything.
Mike?
And then as far as a player goes, to me, the best thing he does is he's a jitterbug. He creates space. He can create space if you're guarding him off the ball. Very hard. You're either going to follow him and he's going to catch it and curl to the basket and make a play or score. Or he can create space if you try to, cut off his cut, he can change directions, and very good 3-point shooter. To me, a little streaky at this point, but very, very good 3-point shooter. Has no problem pulling a shot with somebody in his face, and he can hit that. So he can hit some tough shots. To me, that's where I see him. I think he's going to have a hard time displacing Rob Finney, to be honest with you. Rob Finney's defense is so good, and I think people undervalue that. He's not come along offensively, maybe where some people would like, but to me, he's going to struggle, scoring against Rob Finney next year in practice. It'll be good for him, but I just think that's where we're at right now. I mean, great talent, especially moving forward. Nowhere close to being one and done. 2021 is where you're going to start seeing more of the Christian Lander, the dynamic guard.
And Mike, I think we've seen Archie Miller is not afraid to put virtually anybody on the roster in, and they will get minutes. Armand Franklin got all the opportunities he could have stood early on in this season, and Archie gave him all the rope to see where he could go with it. And I think that Christian Lander will be afforded that same opportunity next season.
Yeah, I think he will. And the reason why I'm a little bit more optimistic in terms of what he can bring as a freshman than what we've seen out of Franklin thus far is because of the way Christian fits into Archie's system. And specifically, I'm talking about transition offense. If there's one thing that I think, more than any, Archie probably saw in Christian and emphasized him so hard, it's the ability to get the ball and move it downhill fast. I don't think he's had anyone in his program with that kind of mindset. Every time I've seen Christian play, he wants to get the ball and push, and he's kind of wired that way. And I think it makes him a really good fit. And Nick, before you joined, I was a little bit more optimistic. I think you're very right in kind of cautioning people as to what they expect, but I was a little bit more optimistic on what he's going to do in a first year. From that standpoint, I think he's going to get a lot of buckets in transition. He's going to be able to get to the rim, maybe better than other freshmen have been able to. I'm not calling for, any kind of major accolades as a freshman, but I think he's going to stand out maybe a little bit more than others might think.
A lot of text into the show. Alan Hughes from Bird's Eye said Landers is staying home. Jennifer Land couldn't believe there wasn't a press conference. Great point, because a lot of times these high-profile kids, you see them do that, but it was very, very simplistic. Dennis from Chandler, getting Christian is a biggie. This opens up getting recruits that may not have come to IU. What's your thoughts on that? Yeah, what does this do for other recruiting guys? This is we've seen this before. When you get that big recruit, and especially when we're looking forward to that 2021 class, this has got to be as good a thing Archie could have ever imagined, and coming now, because it may start pushing other guys to make that commitment now.
Yeah, I don't know, Mike, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think people want to play with a point guard of Christian's caliber. I think you're talking, not just any point guard, the number one point guard in the class. I mean, that's an obvious draw to other recruits.
Good players want to play with good players.
Absolutely.
And
I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, Rick, that's what I'm saying. Good players want to play with good players, and hopefully that is the exact domino effect that this achieves.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of depends. If Christian ends up reclassifying, then he won't play AAU. If he ends up staying in 2021, it would help as far as Wesley and First, who he's scheduled to play AAU with. I don't know, what that decision. We'll probably know that here after the season wraps up. But I think more than anything, like you said, it just makes it cool. I mean, that's kind of what Romeo did. People say, I've had people say, well, that, it was a waste, it was this. And it made it cool. Because, there was a time in this recruitment where Christian thought Indiana was, just the traditional, and Louisville was a little cooler. And, well, things have kind of, obviously changed in his eyes. I just think, players like that make things, more acceptable, more, just make it cool, I guess is.
No cool guys allowed. We've had that discussion all season long, but that's kind of funny. But Mike, going along with that, because there's a lot of big names within the state, and the fact that this is another in-state kid. This is another Indiana kid, which is important to Indiana fans, but it's important to the program because Indiana produces a lot of great talent. And you got a lot of talent coming in that 2020-21 class. Trey Kaufman, Caleb First, all these big guys that could go around him, and man, to continue to bump up an Indiana roster with an Indiana kids of elite talent, there is nothing that would make Indiana fans happier.
Yeah, and Nick's point about AAU is really good, because I think what Christian developed with Trey and Anthony last summer playing with them was critical to this whole process. I mean, I snuck a peek over at Anthony and Christian sitting behind the bench a few times, and you hear guys are friends, but when you look over there, you could see it. Christian was really having a good time. He and Anthony were, just laughing and joking, and you could see that he was really comfortable where he was at. So, while yesterday's news was very surprising to just about everyone, you could at least sense that there was a high level of comfort. And so if he did spend a summer with the likes of a Blake Wesley or Caleb First, while that would, to Nick's point, would probably mean you're not reclassifying, it would help with the overall, relationships that he may not have that well at this point. So there would be at least that plus side to not reclassifying.
And I just don't see it not happening though, Nick. I think that the reason it happened now, but I am a little surprised with that being a part of this equation, the fact that this caught his family off guard too. So this is kind of, it sounds like Christian's going off and doing his own thing, which that's okay. It's his life. But, this, when you add reclassification to that, there's a whole host of things, man. You're going to be leaving high school a year early, which means you're a year younger, which, we're talking about maturity and all that because that's the age where kids, they're growing up, but they're not quite there yet. But Nick, this is a gigantic decision for him and his future and his career.
And I don't mean to be negative, and say, let's get that out there. Exceptional talent. But he's 165 pounds. 100, he needs to add muscle. Well,
of course, he's a freshman. All that stuff we know coming in.
The rigors of the Big Ten season is what I'm getting at. Is Rob Finney's kind of a thick guard. We've seen him dinged up. I'm just saying, there's nothing that harpoons a season like expectations, right? And
well, so I get that, but here's one thing I can promise you: you are never going to quell expectations of Hoosier Nation. They're just there. But that's a futile effort, so I'd forget about that and just let them go. But no, you're right. But it's still a great get for them because of all the things that it brings. But more importantly, it will allow him to develop while Rob Finney is there, while these other guys are there. And then the following season, of course, you use that. How much better next year is Armand Franklin going to be after this season than he is this season? It's going to be a monumental jump, I would imagine. And we'll see the same.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And people should know, Nick has been all over this recruitment more than anyone else, going all the way back to October. Nick was the first one that made the possibility of reclassification, public out there. I don't think anybody else was talking about it. In fact, some were saying, that's just wild speculation that it isn't going to happen. Nick was all over a lot of aspects of this recruitment. So I think when he's talking about expectations, I think that people should definitely listen to that aspect of it as well.
Oh, there's no doubt they should, but
I have the best intentions in mind for Christian. I mean, I think he's going to be great. I do. And anybody listening walks away from this and saying that Nick Baumgart doesn't. No. I'm just saying, man, he would only be a senior next year. That's it. Yeah, I appreciate that, Mike.
I don't know. Nick, do you know how old Christian is? Is he young for his class?
No, he's older. He's older for his class, so he's got that going for him.
Yeah, that helps. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yes.
We see kids do it all the time. I mean, it's not a huge. I can't imagine graduating high school a year early, but I was an immature idiot, like I am still. But.
Beat me
but
too.
Yeah,
I was going to say
it. But yeah, that's what I was talking about. I mean, that's a young age. You're still maturing, and some kids obviously are more mature than others, and they get to that point faster. But it's an incredibly important time in a kid's life. And wow, you talk about all this stuff that's going on, and then you also have to look at the fact that if he does this, that he is pretty much giving up on the opportunity of being Mr. Basketball, because I doubt I could virtually certainly guarantee you he is not going to be Mr. Basketball this season.
As well as McDonald's All-American, he'll probably give that up if he reclassifies. There's a lot that goes into the decision, but and Nick can speak to this better than I, but more than anything, you talk about playing another season at a high school where you're not really being pushed and really being challenged versus being in a program like Indiana every day where you're grinding against, as Nick said, the likes of a Rob Finney. The benefits just as a basketball player, it's really a no-brainer.
Now we look at the fact that you've got Christian Lander, Trey Galloway, and Anthony Leal coming in. These Indiana guards, they're going to be guard heavy, I guess you'd say, but they're going to just they're continuing to enrich the talent level at that position.
Yeah, that was the big thing, right? That we needed better talent. I mean, I don't know if I don't know where that argument lies, personally, but that's an argument certainly that people say is, Indiana, just doesn't have the talent. They, nobody else would start at, besides Trace Jackson. I mean, you've heard that argument. So, definitely it's an infusion, and it's just kind of funny to see, right, where things were 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when people were, talking about what's the buyout and what are the terms of the buyout, and now, things have really done a 180. And Indiana's 2 games out of first place in the Big Ten, and just landed their third 5-star recruit, and so.
A lot of text to the text line. Dr. J said it may not translate to immediate points wins, but it sends a positive message to other high school athletes as well as quieting angry fans to go along with their Joker. Sunday, March 1st, Illinois game needs to be at Bubba's. Ryan and Whitmore, Lake Michigan. Hope all is well with Nick. Tell him he is too funny. There you go. Tim says, is 2020 a top 5 recruiting class? ? No, I don't see no way that it's what were they currently? I mean, they were like in the 40s or something before Lander's classification. I don't know how much it'll bump it up, but I don't think it's going to be a top 10 class right now. Do you?
No, I would say it's somewhere 15 to 20 maybe.
I was going to agree with that. I think it might be around the high 30s right now, and I think Lander could bump it down into the 15 to 20 range. I agree.
28 probably, Tim's saying. Tommy Beebe in Jeffersonville says he's a very competitive young man. Yes, he is. Hey, man, that's all the text messages for now that we've got. Keep them coming. 812-269-6367. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Nick Baumgart and Mike Schumer with us right now. We'll be back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. You're listening to us from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Wednesday. Nick Baumgart from Indiana Rivals, thehoosier.com is with us. Also, Mike Schumann is with us as well. We're talking, of course, about the surprising commitment of Christian Lander to the Indiana Hoosiers. Lots of other things to get to as well in the program. Laura Overton was with us in the first hour. Matt Weaver will join us next segment. We'll talk a little bit of football. We'll get to that. But IU baseball canceled today. The home opener was scheduled for 3 o'clock at the Bart, but with Butler. But a little snow falling. You can't have a home opener in February in Bloomington, man. Come on. I don't know what you guys think about the Houston Astros situation, but I saw something yesterday. Sammy Kershaw with the Dodgers in one of their playoff games against the Astros that season. There was a game in which he threw 51 curveball slider combinations, and not one time did Houston swing and miss on those pitches.
Yeah. I'm not a baseball guy, but I will say that whoever was behind the scenes responsible for that should be banned from the game permanently. I mean, I think it's just as simple as that. You got a major integrity issue there.
To me, that's one of the most egregious things I've ever heard of. They cheated their way to a World Series, and It's being shown that's okay. There is absolutely no punishment really being handed down for this.
If you got a casual fan like me, why do I want to watch that game if I know that the league is going to allow that kind of stuff to go on?
I don't know how much respect has been lost for all those guys who participated in that. And then you got those guys that are going to other teams. That's got to be very difficult.
Well, you guys just stole my thought. Did you like that? See what I did there?
Which one?
Stole your thought, stole your sign. I got it.
Anyway, I'm a huge baseball guy. I was listening to something the other day. Somebody was, I don't know, the Cleveland Clevenger, maybe. He said, I would much rather have a guy on steroids up there than a guy who knew what I was getting ready to throw. It's unbelievable to me that these guys are going to walk free. They got immunity. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. You know what's right and what's wrong. Look, if you're banging on trash cans, using computers to steal something, somewhere along the line, you have to say, man, you got buzzers on. You're taping your buzzer onto you every day. You at some point, something has to click and say, this is wrong. So it's just crazy that they got, no punishment.
Yeah, it sucks basically, but it is what it is. But let's see what else is going on. Maria Sharapova retires, 5-time Grand Slam champion. And then Mike sent this out earlier. An IU alum Bob Chapek from 1981 named CEO of Disney, which owns ESPN, by the way. But that's kind of a cool deal.
Didn't get Mike's joke in there?
I missed it. What was it?
Mike said maybe they'll hire a Purdue alum to be goofy. But point.
I'm here all week, folks.
They're doing it for free now, I guess, right?
Sure. Intern.
There you go. Hey, on the program tomorrow, Matt Taylor, the play-by-play guy for the Indianapolis Colts, is going to join us. Looking forward to that and see what else we can get. I got something special I'm working on, but don't know it yet, so we can't say it. But looking forward to that. But Christian Lander coming to Indiana, that has got – man, Indiana fans have just – they woke up today, if they didn't see it last night, just dancing in the streets probably, because this is just another sign. Indiana, not because this goes on, Indiana's playing well right now. These last two games they have played against Minnesota and at home against Penn State, they have played some of their best basketball of the season, showing resilience and maturity. Now they get the opportunity to go up to West Lafayette tomorrow night to show if that can continue, and if they could manage to come out of there with a win, which is a tough ask, but if they did, man, this team would be on fire.
Yeah, isn't that funny? A few weeks ago, Purdue week, we're not talking at all about Purdue. We're talking about Bob Knight. Now it's Purdue week. We're not talking at all about Purdue. We're talking about Christian Lander. The biggest rivalry in the program, and to your point, a huge game tomorrow, to capitalize on some momentum here. Winners at 3 out of 4, could be 4 out of 5. I think if they were to win tomorrow night, it would pretty much lock their place in the NCAA tournament. But Indiana's lost, 6 in a row to Purdue. Haven't won in Mackey, I believe, since 2013. Big ask.
Archie has not beaten Purdue yet.
Exactly.
Purdue, if they even have any tournament life, which I don't think they do, they're on life support right now, and this is an absolute must-win for Purdue. I don't think that they're in the tournament regardless, but in their mind, they have to win this game to do so. And if they were to win out, they could probably find their way back in, because even at 14-14, they've got like a 32 net ranking.
Yeah, we're going to find out what kind of heart this Purdue team has, because we heard the guys talk about how they turn their social media off now. I mean, there's some pretty nutty Purdue fans out there, right? I mean, it's a low key, bigger fan base than what people, people are talking and they hear it. They have to know that, right now at 14-14, we're out. And so maybe that lights a fire under you. And maybe for some people, maybe it kind of makes them say, well, I don't know, maybe this isn't our year. We're going to find out. I mean, it could kind of go both ways. Like Mike said, incredibly tough ask. And expectations are always the thing that gets, Archie in trouble. So I have no expectations for this game. Hopefully they can continue to build on their momentum. At least they can play well, and just hope you're there, with a chance at the end, because, you could play great and still this Purdue team at home is another animal.
Absolutely. They have shot well there, but they have not played well lately, and they've been beaten at home.
Yep.
So they're kind of like a wounded animal, which is dangerous a lot of times, like I said. But not only they're a wounded animal, they're playing for their tournament life too, and they're playing at home, and they're playing against a team they love nothing more than to beat, and have been successful at doing that here of late. We'll see if that continues or if it doesn't continue. But man, Indiana, on the other hand, Mike, yes, sir,
Jim, I have one thing that I was going to add was, if you go back and look at Aaron Wheeler's day that day, it was incredible. He had every shot he took. He took 4 shots, scored 11 points, hit 3 threes. He's an 8 of 48 3-point shooter in the Big Ten. So that's 16%. And so he kind of like Justin Smith beat Michigan State last year.
And Armand Franklin beat Notre Dame this year.
He's 1 of 9 and he's got 8 points total in the last 4 games. So, no Race Thompson, no Jerome Hunter last time. Race played. Race and Deron Davis played 12 minutes and took 1 shot.
It's a different team. This is a completely different team than that played that game. For whatever reason, that team didn't show up. They didn't play defense. They didn't do much of anything. But they have changed since then. They are playing much better, obviously. But and another thing, Mike, this team now, they have an opportunity to really bolster their seed line in the NCAA tournament, because they have multiple opportunities. They have, out of their last 4 games, they have opportunities to add 3 more quad 1 wins, including this one at Purdue. Then you go to Illinois, which is an extremely tough ask. But then you finish with 2 home games, one of which will be against Wisconsin, and another quad 1 opportunity.
Yeah, the opportunity is absolutely there. I mean, you're talking about if you can find a way to steal one of these two on the road and then hold serve at home court, you're talking about a 21 win season, maybe 22 if you get one in the Big Ten tournament. And at that point, you're talking about probably being the higher seed in the NCAA, maybe like a 7 seed type situation, which would obviously be a lot more fun conversation than bubble talk here in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I got him at a 9 right now. So, I mean, they have an impressive resume, no bad losses, and it's 6, like you said, 6 Q1 wins. So,
can someone please explain to me how why is Indiana's net ranking so bad? Is it the home losses? Because in everything else, they're kind of within a window, basically like a mid-30s, 40s, something like that. But the net ranking, wow, they just drop off the table. And then you got a team like Purdue, who is 14-14, like I said, and they're in the 30s.
Curious to see what Nick says about this. My impression is that it's their analytical profile. They're not really standing out as an elite team, either offensively or defensively, when it comes to things like adjusted efficiency. And I think that kind of holds them back. But I think that's also one of those things where the committee will look at and say, okay, we know why Indiana's not standing out here, but the reality is, look at all those quad 1 wins. Look at, as Nick said, no bad losses. So I think at some point you don't throw the net out the window, but you say, okay, it's not spitting out the right picture here.
I agree.
Just to add to that, location doesn't play a part in it. So, that's supposedly that's the, as far as the efficiencies go.
Here's a question for you, Nick, from Josh from Jeffersonville. If Lander was plugged into the 2020 rankings, where would he be ranked? That's a good question.
Somebody asked Eric Bossy this last night, and that's a great question. And it's something that we need, I'm going to look into today or whatever. I would say somewhere probably in the high 40s.
Really?
A solid top 50 player, I would think.
So would that make
75.
him? So he would be a 4-star in this class?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we watched him play against Caleb Love.
How do they?
And he had a good
that's
fourth
very,
quarter.
And that brings up, Nick, how do they adjust that if a kid does reclassify? Do they reclassify his level where he is, his number?
Yeah, he would if he reclassifies to 2020, then he would move into some 2020 ranking.
So he's probably going to.
Those rankings are all, I don't know. To be honest with you, it's something that I want to get into a little more this summer when I hang out with Eric Bossy and on the circuits or whatever to understand how that all works. But I can't really explain that right now.
So if he does reclassify, is this going to go down as a 4-star recruitment?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, right? We're kind of in new territory here. Yeah, maybe.
Not that it matters. I just just stuff to talk about. But I think IU is currently
I'm just trying
28th.
to compare him with Caleb Love, who's also a 5-star point guard recruit in 2020. So it just kind of feels like he might be 20 or 30 spots back. I'm just with his age.
Yeah, so basically Indiana was going to end up with 4 stars is how that will break out. And again, doesn't matter. This is for fans to talk about where the recruiting class ends up and all that stuff. But it'll definitely bump them into the top 20, maybe top 15, I think.
Sure.
Again, doesn't matter. It's what's on the court and what they do. But we've seen these guys play together, and they have played together, and that is hugely important because we talked about chemistry with these teams, Archie's teams, under these last 3 years. Chemistry has been such an defining issue, and now this is also one of the things that is taking that problem away because these guys, all 3 of these guys have already played together. They played against Trey Jackson Davis, and so there's this. It's starting to gel together. This program, he's really Archie's doing a good job of gelling it with the right type of players. He deserves the credit for doing that.
Yeah, they know each other, they like each other, that they want to play with each other. That can't be a bad thing, and couple that with the fact that they're all very good players and very skilled players in different respects. I think Indiana hasn't been a particularly skilled team the last couple of years, and you talk about a guy like Lander or a guy like Galloway, who I think is going to come in and surprise a lot of people with his ability to handle the ball as well and defend. I think the point about, just guys that are ready to come in and work, I place significance, probably too much significance, on the fact that all of these guys, even going back to last year with Trace and Armand, these are guys that are not, holding press conferences at their high school. They're just like, hey, I'm going to Indiana, let's go. And you're seeing that in the way that they're playing as freshmen. And I think you're going to see more of that from these guys coming in next year.
Absolutely. So where does Indiana go next? Because we saw Archie say that we're not done for 2020, and this is part of that. He still has one available scholarship for this year if he wanted to use it. Is that correct?
Not technically, if Lander reclassifies, he does not. They're sold out if Lander's in 2020. But this is modern college basketball. The idea that Indiana's not going to have any transfers out is probably unlikely. No names to be mentioned. Chatters out there. Go, assume as you will. But
that would give them 4, and I would say that Archie would probably be good with that and be done, because he does not probably want to go higher than that. He wants to try to keep it as evenly spaced as trying to get to that roster overhaul where you can manage the roster. And I think he's getting to that point.
He would at least have 12 scholarship players in on next year's roster. And then Nick, I think you tell me, but I think it's going to be, he's not going to reach for another guy just to fill out the roster, especially if he feels good about the 2021 kids.
No, I think you're right. I think attrition, I do expect another, some attrition, no names again, but I just do. Just different things that I've heard and not directly, but so there's going to be some movement out. I think that you really need to add, Jim, this is your thing, is you need to add a big guy now versus waiting, right? And that's kind of, and I tend to be.
I think that ship. I think that ship has sailed, though. I agree. I said that. I was talking about that a while back. That I think you're going to have a hole after next season, after Trace Jackson leaves, because there's no doubt he'll be gone.
Grad transfer. I know they had looked, before Lander had committed, they were looking at Rudy Williams, who was a point guard out of Northwest Oklahoma. That's, it's not. I don't know if they were looking; they were kicking the tires or whatever. But and Craig Porter. So now those two, what's Lander do? Does he reclassify or not? Because if he stays in 21, technically you may still need a point guard for next year. So I think that's why it's such a big deal that he reclassifies now. And so that's what I expect Indiana to push for. He wants to reclassify. He's a smart kid. Getting the classes done. That's probably the least of anybody's concerns. So, it just kind of depends, I guess, kind of waiting for Lander to decide 20 or 21, because that kind of influences your next move if you're not comfortable with the point guard situation you have now.
Yep. Nick Baumgart, cannot thank you enough, from thehoosier.com, Indiana Rivals. He's going to be on this, so we'll keep following him. He's going to stay up on this and see what else he can shake up on what's going on. I cannot thank you enough, brother.
Got it. Good talking to you guys.
You have a great day. We've got a lot more coming up here on the program. Matt Weaver is going to join us to talk some IU football. Mike Schumann's with us, of course, and we're back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily, Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday, and you know what that means. Joined now by our good friend Matt Weaver. Matthew, how are you, brother?
I'm doing okay. How are you guys?
Cannot complain. Can't start. I guess there's no way to skip over the bad news for Indiana football this week with Peyton Hendershot. A bad situation. I'd love to see that get straightened out, but golly, good kid, and you hate to see stuff like that happen.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's you hope for a drama-free offseason, and obviously that didn't happen. And got the suspension yesterday, which was, that was pretty much, that's standard policy at most schools, including Indiana, when something like this happens, and they kind of, do their investigation and then check everything out. Hopefully he'll be back at some point. Hopefully it doesn't lead to him being gone from the program. And I know the girl in the incident released or put out a Facebook post or some kind of post somewhere. Somebody screenshot it and sent it to me. It maybe sounds like maybe it wasn't as bad as initially reported, but we'll see. Hopefully it's not. I mean, obviously he made a mistake. There was something that happened, but hopefully it's not as bad as it looked on the surface when it first came out. And Peyton can learn from it and become not just football is kind of irrelevant here. Just become learn from it and grow from it, and hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and I doubt that the program lets this slow them down much because they're on a heater, man. They got a lot of momentum coming in off of going to the Gator Bowl. They didn't finish it like they'd like to have. That still, you play deep into January, and then now you're only a couple months away from spring ball, and so the season kind of keeps going, which is where they've been, which is unusual territory. But I know they don't want to slow that train down. They've got the most production coming back next year. He was a part of that, but this this is a team that has nothing but good things moving forward.
Yeah, and as far as him in spring ball, I mean, Coach Allen, told everybody on the second signing day that he was going to be limited this spring. I think people remembered he got his shoulder banged up in the ball game, and I think they had to do some surgery on it. So he was going to be limited anyways. So from that standpoint, it doesn't really affect or impact you in spring. Obviously, if he's not with the program in the fall, that does impact you. But like you said, there's a lot of momentum, a lot of guys back. I was actually just kind of going through the roster this morning, and they got 9 seniors. I mean, that's all they got. I mean, if you count Dylan Powell, he's 10, but he can get 2 more years. If he wants to, he can get a 6th year of eligibility. So basically, you got 9 seniors, and so it's just incredible. It's actually I think it's actually a smaller senior class, at least right now on paper, than it was at this point for last year. So. But on the flip side, even though it's a younger team, it's a lot of experience on this team. It's not like these guys haven't played. There's a bunch of guys in that freshman, sophomore, redshirt sophomore class that have played a lot of football. So, it'll be interesting to see how they do.
Yeah, and then right now we're in that I guess the dead season for college football. We're just kind of waiting for spring ball to come around, but it's never dead for the program, never dead for the coaches, never dead for the players. Things are always going on beneath the surface.
Yeah, and like I said last week, this used to be a recruiting time. This used to be a time where they would bring guys on campus, like for kind of like what I would call like mini junior days. You might bring 3 or 4 guys down if you have like a midweek basketball game. The NCAA's changed that now. Once after the second signing period, it's now a dead period until the end of the month. And then starting on March 1st, you can bring guys on campus. Coaches can't go off campus yet, but you can bring guys on. So there'll be guys coming on. There's going to be a big junior day on March 7th, the first day of spring ball. So working on getting those names. But, there was an interesting tweet yesterday from the Indiana recruiting Twitter profile, Indiana football recruiting Twitter profile about there's going to be a mega camp on June 5th, an Adidas mega camp on June 5th. The details haven't been released. I don't know the details on it, but that sounds like a pretty big deal. That means you could be getting a lot of guys on campus that maybe you wouldn't have got on campus for whatever reason. So that's a big deal to have that in Indiana. They can check out the facilities, get be around the coaches, just see IU in general. So it'll be really interesting to see what the details are, the specifics, who's coming, and all that kind of thing. And I'm guessing there'll probably be other schools that come for that. I'm not really sure how it works, but that's a pretty big deal if I'm reading that tweet correctly.
Matt, something that really stood out to me, I think it may have been earlier this week, I saw that there are 8 quarterbacks in the transfer portal right now, but one of those quarterbacks is Peyton Ramsey. Still there.
Yeah, and not really heard a lot. I mean, I've heard Miami, Ohio is a school that could be of interest, close to home. And, I think I was told, and like I said, I'm not saying this where he's going to end up, just kind of chatter that I think his girlfriend's going to be going to grad school there. So that might make sense. I've heard Western Kentucky's very interested in him. I've had a guy from another Big Ten site who works for another Big Ten site reach out and ask for his contact info because that school was supposedly interested in him, and it was a Big Ten East school. I don't think he's going to end up at this school, but I'll say it was Maryland. I've not heard anything about them, but I don't think he's a Maryland fit. And I've also heard, kind of through the grapevine that Peyton would prefer not to play at a school that will be on Indiana's schedule next year. So whether that's true or not, we'll see. But I think he's going to take his time. He's obviously a really, really intelligent guy. He's kind of been around the block, so he's going to wait and see, and he may wait till after spring ball to kind of see where programs are, see where he might, have the best chance to get on the field and be the starter and play right away. So, which might be smart. There's really no point in making a decision now unless the school just blows you away and that's the right fit. I haven't heard a ton about Fresno State other than kind of people just speculating that where he could end up, but that to me would seem to be an option. So. I hope he finds a great spot and has a great last year of college football.
Yeah, and because with him being a veteran, it's not like he needs the practice to be with that team on spring ball, but it's getting into a new offense, new terminology, new technology, or terminology, and all that stuff. So that's what's going to be a change for him that he'll have to acclimate himself to with whatever new program he ends up with, or the possibility of is it a possibility that he stays in Indiana?
I mean, I don't want to say
think
there's
so.
no chance, but to me, I don't think he enters the portal if he doesn't already have if he hasn't already made his mind up. I guess maybe if he doesn't think there's anything better, maybe he decides, hey, you know what, I'm okay coming back and competing, and if I'm the number two guy, I'm the number two guy. But I think when he made that decision, I think to me, Peyton Ramsey seems like a guy that obviously when he thinks things through, and when he makes a decision, he probably sticks with it. But who knows? Maybe the grass isn't greener for him. Maybe he finds that out. And he decides to stay. When you talk about the new terminology, all that, that's why I think everybody just kind of figured Fresno State made a ton of sense. Now, I would think they'd be interested. Maybe he doesn't want to go that far from home. Maybe they don't have the grad program. I don't know. I mean, there could be a lot of things. But to me, from a football standpoint, pure football standpoint, and being acclimated with the coaching staff and the offense, there's not a better fit out there for him than Fresno State. But there's other factors obviously involved besides football. So, we'll see. And like I said, wherever he goes, wherever he ends up, I think he'll do a great job and have a great senior year. And, obviously, if it's not Indiana, I wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah, I thought that Fresno State was pretty much a foregone conclusion because of what I just talked about a second ago. Is he doesn't have to worry about acclimating himself into new terminology or a new offense because he's already ready to go with that. But yeah, like you said, moving across the country, that's not for everybody. I'm not saying that I could do it. Going to California, you're from Ohio, and don't know that he wants to go that far away. But we'll see how it shakes out, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, it's not even 1 year. I mean, usually when you're a grad transfer, you're only there for the first semester, and then, you're done, and either go play football at the next level or you move on with your life, whatever that may be. So, to me, Miami Ohio's a program that had a good season last year. If let's say, just say for instance them, I mean, Chuck Martin's a coach there, former Notre Dame assistant. Went to a bowl game, played well. That was a program that obviously after really has been struggling ever since Terry Hepner left and came to IU. They just never got their footing after that, and kind of got through some coaches. But obviously a program with a ton of history. A lot of good coaches have come from there, and so that program is back up and going, and it's a nice school, and obviously, like I said, be close to home. So that might be a good fit, but who knows? Maybe he's looking for something bigger. I'm not really sure what Peyton's looking for. I just think he's probably looking for the best opportunity to play football for one more year in college and have a great season.
Got the combine going on up in Indy right now too, man. Was any of the Indiana? Wasn't there one Indiana player suppostly?
Yeah, Simon Stepniak is at the combine now. After he got injured late in the season, I'm not sure. I have not seen what he. I mean. It was a knee injury, a lower, leg. So I would think if he can't run or do drills, he could probably still do bench press. I'm not sure what else he could do. I don't think there's any other drills he could do besides that. But
they do a lot of measurements and all that stuff.
I'm sorry?
They do a lot of measurements and all that stuff.
Yeah, he'll be able to do that. He'll be able to meet with teams. It's a bummer for Simon because I think he was a guy that had a real shot. Not that he still can't get drafted, but obviously – if it was a blown ACL, then you're basically looking at a redshirt year almost as a rookie. So it really obviously a guy who is probably going to be probably at best a mid to late round pick. It drops him down, but I think he's a guy who's got a shot to play at the next level. It's going to be a little bit tougher climb for him if he's a late seventh round pick or undrafted free agent. But I think he's got the goods to stick around. Just you got to get the right organization and hope that organization has patience with you and realizes it's a 1 year deal before you can really start playing. And I think you've seen him play. He's done against some of the best players in the country, and I think if he's given a shot, I think he's got a real chance to stick around.
We'll certainly look forward to it, man. I cannot thank you. What you got going on, Matt, that the people need to read about there?
Doing some. We got to meet with some of the newcomers. I'm still doing some Q&As. I'll have those out this week, and probably do an offensive defensive preview for spring ball probably early next week, and then just some more recruiting things. I'm trying to find out the names of the guys that are coming for that first spring practice, that junior day, and be doing some more recruiting stories. And hopefully we'll get to meet the new D-line coach here when he's officially announced, and have something on him as well.
Sounds great, brother. We appreciate you as always. Hope you have a great week.
Okay, you too. Take care, guys.
You betcha. There's Matt Weaver, Peaks.com, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. We're coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Wednesday. Back after this to finish out the show. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dawkins.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat on this Wednesday, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. A big day, obviously. Christian Lander committed to Indiana last night. Man, oh man, that was a little unexpected, but what a boost that gives, especially to a team heading up that's playing very well right now. Indiana's playing its best basketball of the season as a program. That's got to be a boost. I know it is a boost for the fans. They head up to West Lafayette tomorrow night to take on a Purdue team that has been struggling a little bit, fighting for their tournament life, to be honest with you. I don't think that they're in the tournament. They're 14-14 right now, but they have, because playing in the Big Ten Conference and some timely road wins, their net rankings are higher than you would imagine. But they are, even with all that, they got to win. They have to beat Indiana at home tomorrow night, and they have to do some other things to even have a shot at getting into the NCAA tournament. Indiana, on the other hand, I think they're playing well enough. We'll see, of course, but I think that they can go up and give Purdue all they want at Mackey. I think they're playing with confidence, although that is a very difficult place to play, as you've heard us talk about immensely. It is just a tough place to play. Indiana hasn't won there in quite some time, and Archie has not beaten Matt Painter yet, so we'll see if we can get to that. Great show today. Laura Overton was on with us from the Colts. Matt Weaver, of course, we just finished up with him. We were joined by Mike Schumann, Nick Baumgart from the Hoosier.com, from the Indiana Rivals. Awesome. We got to hear from Cody Zeller. How about that? I don't get to hear from him very often. How about Bob Chapek, an IU alum from 81, now the CEO of Disney, which owns ESPN. That's kind of cool, huh? Well, maybe we'll make Jake goofy.
I could be goofy.
Definitely. Last night, Iowa went to Michigan State. They lost 78-70. So Michigan State staying up in Michigan State trying to fight for a piece of a Big Ten championship, but everyone's behind Maryland right now. I think everyone is maybe 2 full games behind them. Michigan State was in a 5-way tie for second place, so with Iowa was part of that, so that separates a little bit. Duke lost to Wake Forest in 2 overtimes last night, 113-101 at Wake Forest. That's kind of a bad loss for them. They're high enough to where it's not going to hurt them, but I mean, it definitely will ding them. What's that?
Probably drops them a seed line because they were fighting for probably a 2 seed, weren't they? Or possibly even.
You know what? I think it will drop them a seed line. I think you're right. I mean, because it's such a bad loss. It could cost them. It could drop them to a 3. That could but they could also make up for that with the ACC tournament. They can play themselves, even though the ACC is weak, which will allow them to play themselves out of that mess this year. So there's that. Tomorrow on the program, looking forward to talking to our friend Matt Taylor. He does play-by-play for the Colts radio. Looking forward to talking to Matt at the combine going on up there. Working on something big for tomorrow, but I don't have it confirmed, so I can't say that. On Friday, though, I can tell you, Charlie Miller, former Hoosier, is going to join us. Looking forward to having Charlie on the program. I think we may have Nick back on Friday to talk about some recruiting, pick back up on that. May talk to Mike again, catch up, let's see how the week's gone after this recruitment is hit, and follow up with that. But we got plenty to keep you going. Baseball today canceled at the Bart. Was scheduled to open the season at 3:05. That's not going to happen. It's just too cold, wet, rainy, snowy, and the whole business out there. But Indiana takes on Purdue tomorrow night at 7. I think the women play at 6 tomorrow night as well. So we got lots going on as we head towards this weekend. But it's going to wrap it up for today. We appreciate you. We appreciate everybody. Like I said, Laura Overton, Matt Weaver. Thanks to Mike Schumann and Nick Baumgart. We've got lots more coming up tomorrow. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.